So I've been asked the question, when you're asking for a buyer agency commission to be paid by the seller, if the seller disagrees and doesn't want to pay it, how's that handled? Typically, that's all handled while you're going through the negotiation process before you fully go under contract. Once you're fully under contract, the only ways that you have to negotiate are any of the spaces within the contract that give you negotiating ability. So for example, due diligence, you're typically going to be negotiating for something that has to do with due diligence. So for example, if your property needs a new roof and you didn't understand that, and that's going to be $15,000 to replace your roof, $40,000, whatever it is to replace your roof, but that was an unexpected expense, you could then negotiate the price. Having said that, if you now understand that you had $15,000 or $40,000 in your coffers as money for closing, and part of that initially in your offer was to cover a buyer agency fee, and now you're in due diligence and you understand that you need to also pay for a roof, you might then be negotiating to adjust the pricing. It's not necessarily for a buyer agency commission. It's more likely for that roof, but it's understanding what you can afford to purchase. Now, these are negotiations, and that means that you can say yes and no, and so can the seller. And so at these times, it is always a conversation between both sides and understanding what happens for both sides. During that negotiation for due diligence, if you do ask for some sort of concession, during that time frame, the seller can't say, no, I terminate your transaction. They can say no, and then you get to determine whether or not you want to terminate the transaction if they're just a no and no negotiations. And again, I'm going to repeat, I am speaking for the state of Maine. This may not be the case in other states.